Welcome back to the Goku Report, and welcome back for a new top 10 list. This is going to be a unique list involving films. This is 10 movies I personally really like, I either like, really like, love, that most people hate or dislike very much. So, first three honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut, and expect in the future sometime another one of these because there's a lot of films I personally like, a lot of people don't like. With that said, three honorable mentions of some films most people don't like, I do enjoy. The first of the three honorable mentions, the original Street Fighter the movie. Yeah, there's a lot of people that find it a guilty pleasure movie, but overall majority of people still don't like the film. But whatever. Um, Second of the honorable mentions is a film I think has gotten a little bit more hate than it deserves, or a lot of people that dislike the film. I feel it's a very divisive film. Either you love it or you hate it, and that is Superman Returns, which is a film I personally really like, though a lot of people do not enjoy it for some bizarre reason, but whatever. And the last of the honorable mentions is, oh boy, this is going to be it's called. Yes. It's from M. Night Shyamalan. It's called The Village. I think it's because of it being marketed the wrong way, is why a lot of people didn't like it. Because it was marketed as a suspense horror film, it ended up being more of a coming of age story than anything else. I feel, though, it's genuinely an underrated film from M. Night that I wish more people would have given a chance to. With that said, coming in at number 10 from New Line Cinema, this film does have a cult following, but more or less mainly fans of the comic that the film is based on. This film was released, I believe, in 1997, done by New Line Cinema or New Line Pictures. Um, has some great music on the soundtrack, stuff like you had music from like KMFDM, I believe. You had music from Manson, Rob Zombie, many others. Korn, I believe. Uh, that being Spawn the movie. It is definitely a film I feel is kind of a guilty pleasure movie of mine, definitely. But a lot of people don't like it, and boy, did the critics hate this movie because I believe this film has like a 10% or something on Rotten Tomatoes. Last time I checked, I believe. With that said, coming at number 9 is a film that surprisingly has about, I think, around like, hovering like around 20 some percent, close to 30% on Rotten Tomatoes among critics. But most audiences hated on this movie. It was mainly the foreign audience that actually enjoyed this film. Coming at 9 for me personally is Terminator Genesis. I actually enjoy Terminator Genesis quite a bit. It is probably um, in the middle for me. It would probably be my fourth favorite Terminator film, maybe. It goes back and forth for third place between it and Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, which I think is another underrated film, I might add. Coming in at number 8, also based on a comic book film, it was the second of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films. I still personally love this film, which is why I'm happy about, of course, the fact that Jamie Foxx is returning, of course, as Electro. Makes me happy. So obviously now you know, number 8 film that I really like, most people don't, is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think this film is criminally underrated, and I get it, the pacing. There's a lot of stuff in the trailers were not in the actual film. I get it, but I think too many people just genuinely hate on this film. I think it deserves a lot more love than it gets. Once again, the chemistry between Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, superb. And I personally really like Jamie Foxx in the role, and they were really loyal. They had balls to at the end of the film actually kill off Gwen Stacy, or yeah, the character Gwen Stacy. I think they had I appreciate that. Actually, having the guts that was kind of rough. As a hardcore Gwen Stacy fan myself, I was never as big into MJ as I was Gwen Stacy with Peter Parker. With that said, coming in at number 7 is one of probably the most recent film on this list. It was released around, I believe it was like 2017, I think. It was like 2017, 2018 range. That being the first of the last of the full, more or less, X-Men films. Coming in number 7 for me personally is X-Men Dark Phoenix. I like this film a lot more than most people. I know of only maybe one person personally, other than me, that actually enjoyed this film, so yeah. And given most people I know, I would say probably 78% most people I know are comic book fans. So that says something when only like one other person I know of other than myself actually liked Dark Phoenix. I get it and everything, but I think once again Michael Fassbender did a solid job in the film, and I really enjoyed it, especially that final act with the train and everything, and that battle was honestly, I think, really good. But to each their own, I guess. Coming in at number 6 is one of, I think, the best, is a perfect example of it's so bad it's good. This film, I believe, has some like a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's definitely become a film that has gained a following, I think, of like those so bad it's funny type films. But for me, coming in at number 6 is Batman and Robin. I admit, I love this film for the bad puns and the bad one liners. But let's be honest, what do you expect with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze? I mean, what did you really think you were going to get? Arnold is the king of one liners. Be honest, he's done more one liners than Bruce Willis or Sylvester Stallone combined. He is the king of one liners. He has so many great puns, bad puns. I mean, there's so many great bad puns in this film. The reason why I don't have Batman Forever on here is because quite a few people actually look back fondly with Batman Forever. Not so much Batman and Robin, however. Not at all. And I think it has more to do with the fact a lot of people look back on that film kindly at, of course, the betrayal, of course, Jim Carrey's Riddler, I think is the main reason people look back more fondly of that film, because that's when Jim Carrey was at his pinnacle in popularity, success, and I think just complete hilarious. But I enjoyed Batman and Robin for it was, even with all the bizarre fetishes of Schumacher. And the thing is, did, in my opinion, one of the greatest vampire films of all time. Of course, that being Lost Boys. Yeah, Joel Schumacher did Lost Boys. Fun fact. But with that said, coming at number 5 is a guilty pleasure. I almost don't want to admit I actually occasionally like watching this film. I don't watch it very often, so I don't end up paying the film, but to put in comparison, this is the lowest film on my top 10 list. This is by far the lowest on Rotten Tomatoes of any film on the list. This has a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes. 2%. And it stars Shaquille O'Neal. No, it's not Kazam. It is called Steel. Based on the DC character, yes, Steel. This film is dreadful. It's bad. The acting is very bad and a lot of definitely over the top, but I think it's the over the top villain is what sells it for me. I really like the villain in Steel, in all honesty. I even like the stupid over the top stuff with Shaquille O'Neal. I'll be honest, I was a big Shaquille O'Neal fan in the 90s. I liked him more than, I'll be honest, I was more a fan of him than Michael Jordan. That was just me. But with that said, yes, Still is number 5. Ugh. Coming at number 4 was a attempted remake from Disney in the mid-2000s. I'll admit, a little bias for this film probably, because of Johnny Depp being involved in the film, and I'm an uber Johnny Depp fanboy. Coming at number 4 is Disney's remake attempt with The Lone Ranger. Yes, I actually like the live action, the movie of The Lone Ranger quite a bit. I've seen the film probably 6 or 7 times. I really like it. Yeah, I know. With Johnny Depp as Tonto, but I still liked it. I loved the remix, like the re-orchestra done of the classic Lone Ranger theme. Though I never really watched the Lone Ranger growing up, but I really like this film. I genuinely enjoyed it. It's one of those bad films that you just enjoy for how stupid it is. For me, anyways. There's always going to be those films for some people. Coming at number 3 is a film I'll admit quite a few people don't like, and this film only has like a 12% or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes. But I don't care. Even if it was Jeremy John's worst movie of the year in his opinion, the year it came out. For me, coming at number 3, as you know from stuff I've said in the past, I love this film, even if there's a lot of differences from the actual video game it's based on. But for me, third place is Silent Hill Revelation. Most people hate Silent Hill Revelation that I know of, but I love the film. I know it's not great, I'll admit that, but it's in my top 10 favorite live action adaptation video game movies of all time list. If you've ever watched it, you know. It's one of my ultimate films of all time, that guilty pleasure movies. With that said, number 2, number 2 is another one I kind of hate to admit I like, though I think it has some great action scenes, and I love the soundtrack. In my opinion, the soundtrack is on another level from the movie itself. Much like Spawn, though I think this soundtrack is way better. This was the album that introduced me and got me into one Megadeth with that awesome remix of Almost Honest. Also, this was my introduction to Juno Reactor. The soundtrack, it was my introduction to KMFDM. And more specifically, it was my introduction to Rammstein, which is in my top 5 favorite metal bands of all time. Anybody that knows me, it was my introduction with the song Angle in the ending credits from their second album, Senslet. But with that said, number 2 is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. One of my ultimate guilty pleasure films, and I hate to admit this, out of all the films on this list, I've seen this more than any of the others on the list. I have watched Mortal Kombat Annihilation almost 30 times. I hate to admit it, but I love Annihilation. Even if the acting is just horrendous, bad, especially that moment with Sindel, too bad you will die. I'm sorry, I just love the guilty pleasure, the bad CGI, everything. I just love the over-the-top, stupid stuff in the film. But at that time, I wasn't the biggest Mortal Kombat game fan, so maybe that's also a reason why I don't hate the movie as much. With that said, coming in at number 1, released in 1998, and especially this has like over 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. Starring, of course, an actor you probably knew at the time was a rising actor, which played Joey on Friends. And many other great actors actually involved, like a specific person as Dr. Smith. The 1998 adaptation of Lost in Space is my number 1 film. Most people hate on this movie big time, and the Nostalgia Critic has gotten some good kicks with his interpretation of Spider-Man, Dr. Smith from the end of the film. Spiders! And stuff like that. If you don't know that reference and stuff, yeah, check out Nostalgia Critic's review. Sometime I might actually do a review of Lost in Space myself, because I feel this film deserves a little more respect than it gets. I think it's a great action sci-fi film from the late 90s. But with that said, that is 10 films I personally really enjoyed, most people hate, and like I said, expect another one of these sometime in the future, because there's quite a few films I like most people hate. But with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. Leave a comment below. Tell me, what are some of your personal favorite films most people hate, but you really enjoy no matter what it is. But with that said, stay safe. See you next time on the Goku Report.